Joining me right now, the chairman and editor-in-chief of Forbes Media, Steve Forbes. Can you believe that? I mean, he had 8 years to get it going. He didn't do squat as far as strengthening our economy, growing our economy. He just added more regulation, more taxes, and left it all up to the Fed to try and generate some kind of hope.
That's why the word chutzpah was invented.
It's like all me.
It's like a manager of a team that keeps losing and losing and losing. You get a new manager, you start winning the World Series, and the old manager says, "No, I did that." So he first tells businesses during his administration, "You didn't do it. You don't create jobs," and acted as if they didn't. So businesses every morning knew they were going to get up and wondered what Washington was going to hit them next with. Today, they know they're not going to be hit, so the so-called animal spirits are up. You started to see that last year. Investments starting to go up. And it's very simple. You get off the backs of the American people, and they'll do great things. But Obama thinks it's like when you milk in the supermarket, just happens to show up. You don't have to milk the cow or pass it or do anything. It just magically shows up. They have no appreciation of how resources are created. Government does not create resources. People do, and people do it best when they are free.
But it's pretty bad that he's out there trying to convince people that somehow, I don't think anybody buys it, by the way, because we all remember where consumer confidence was during those years. And that was also Barack Obama's fault, I'll tell you, because even if you got a little glimmer of hope in one of the GDP reports or in a jobs report, the president would never run with that. Obama would sit there and tell you why it wasn't good enough and how we were still struggling and blah, blah, blah. And he was such a Debbie Downer when it came to the economy. I kept saying at the time, Steve, I don't get it. You need people to feel confident about the future. Why do you keep putting us down?
Because he doesn't believe in the future. He believes unless the government's running everything, nothing good can happen. And that's why many on the left are so angry, not just at President Trump and behavior and all that kind of thing, but at the fact the economy is working. They're just waiting. They know eventually it's going to come all crashing down. It can't be good. Look at Paul Krugman.
Oh, yeah.
Angry, angry, angry.
Yes, no, he is.
People are doing things without their permission. Can't let it happen.
I do remember that rather infamous piece he wrote on election night.
When he's still writing them today.
Never going to recover. Yeah, I think he went after me a couple Fridays ago in one of his pieces because somehow he thinks that socialism probably is the answer to all Americans' problems. I, however, do not.
That's a badge of honor.
I said, what am I going to do? And you know what? I know Paul personally and nothing against him, but what am I going to do when I start, like, if he actually agreed with me, that's more of a problem than, you know, us differing on that stuff.
A rhino if that happens.
Let me ask you about this anonymous op-ed, because I want to know what it would have taken for Forbes to have published something like that.
It would have to have been a truly senior official, not a fake one. You know, it's now come out that several years ago, the Times took a supposedly high official from the Energy Department trashing some policy or other Republicans liked. I forget what the details were. But it turns out the high official was an intern. So their definition of high officials is rather elastic. And that also gets to the fact that even though the far, far left is giddy about it, most people are wondering if it's as bad as this guy says it is, why doesn't he have the courage, especially after the funeral of John McCain, to come out and go public with it and make your case? The person is a moral coward,
well,
whatever
no
his or her rank is.
So, in other words, I would also say if you feel that passionately that this is not the right direction for the country and that you somehow have to protect the country against President Trump and that's why you're there, then why the heck are you telling everybody about it? Just do what you need to do. Because of your so-called patriotism, don't publish it in the New York Times of all places. It makes literally no sense.
You keep your position, but you can tell yourself, I'm so courageous. No, it doesn't wash.
Exactly.
You either get out there, get out, or shut your mouth and apologize.
If it comes out that this is one of these low-level officials, and I suspect it will, then I'm pretty much done with the Times because that is irresponsible of them to have published anything that's not, frankly, from Pompeo, Kelly, Pence, or as I told you in the commercial break, Ivanka Trump, his daughter. I mean, you really would have to have someone that's that close to him in that orbit, in my sense, to justify ever doing this. But you can't imagine any of those people doing it, right?
No, of course not. Kelly just signed on, the chief of staff just signed on through 2020. He thought this was so bad. he'd have bailed out and said, not good things happening there. But he signed on for another 2 years.
I have you here, so let me ask you.
And I'm surprised Saturday Night hasn't done a skit yet with Trump writing the piece.
Let me ask you, Les Moonves, that's been a big story all over the weekend. Our own Charlie Gasparino breaking a lot of that. Any thoughts on Moonves stepping down?
Everyone knew it was coming. When he went to battle with Ms. Redstone and lost, well, it's just a matter of time before his head went on the chopping block. And don't cry for him. $120 million on the exit. Not bad. Most people would say, I'd take that.
I guess if you're going to go up against Sherry Redstone, you better make sure there are no skeletons in that closet.
Well, she had it all on her side, and he thought he could browbeat her and intimidate her. Did not happen.
Didn't happen. Nope. We're going to get more intel on that from Charlie coming up. But Steve, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being here.